First at noon, history is being made today as the United States eases restrictions on traveling to Cuba, allowing the most visits and trade in decades. Cuban Americans in South Florida are excited that the news means they'll be able to send more and visit their family members on the island more often. CBS 4's Gabby Fleischman has more from Miami International Airport.
When the phone rings at this Southwest Miami-Dade travel agency, there's a good chance the caller is asking about a trip to Cuba.
We just had an American citizen who called us and asked us if he could go to Cuba before McDonald's gets there. So that kind of rush is going through people's mind.
Beginning Friday, Americans will be able to travel to the communist island with less government interference, but only if they fall into one of these dozen categories. At Miami International Airport, most of the people lined up to check into their Havana-bound flight were heading to see family with basic necessities in tow.
Anything you take to Cuba, it's needed. Anything.
Mayosoti Martin hopes the easing of travel restrictions will make the trip more affordable.
To go to Cuba, it's a 45-minute flight, and you end up paying over $400 to travel, which is crazy.
There's going to be more Americans that will be traveling and more Americans that will be coming back and telling friends and relatives about their trip and experiences, and hopefully that'll generate more interest.
Bill Hoff owns Island Travel and Tours, a charter company that flies people to and from Cuba. While he thinks the new policy will require some clarification, he believes it's a long time coming.
It always seems to be so cruel to me that our country would keep families apart by saying you can only go visit your grandmother once every 3 years.
But Cuban-born U.S. Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen released a statement which said, in part, quote, "The Obama administration has once again opted to unilaterally ignore existing U.S. law in issuing these regulations, and in doing so has provided an economic lifeline to the Cuban communist regime." Cuba has yet to say how many visitors it will allow on the island.
The ball is in Raul Castro's court.
Gabby Fleischman, CBS 4 News.
And stay with CBS 4 News and CBSMiami.com for continuing coverage of this historic change in relations between the U.S. and Cuba.